Welcome to Take Back Your Life with Grit and Grace. I am Coach Leanne.
And I'm Coach Jen. Um, Today we're talking about job title, self-worth, and productivity, and how that is affecting your quality of life. I'm kind of excited about this topic because, it's really, who are you when you're not talking about what you do, your job title? We attach our self-worth to all these things.
Yeah, I can remember when I first started working and my title was like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. What was it? I don't even remember. That's how important it was. It was some type of supply planner or something. It wasn't engineer. And I freaked out because here I'd spent all this time and energy studying for this one particular thing, and they didn't call me that. And
Right?
I was devastated because I had been wrapped up so tightly in the whole idea that I was an engineer and that is what you were going to call me forever and ever. Amen. And now here I am, a coach, and I'm like, I made up my own title. This is so cool because I own my own company and I can change it whenever I want because it means literally nothing. It means I'm responsible for everything. But at that time, ooh, my God, that 24-year-old ego, ooh, girl, tell you what.
Yeah. Yeah. Like how many times do we chase after a title or and we attach our self-worth to not just that, but I think we do the same thing um, with education, right? Like how many degrees do you have? Um,
I have I have a undergrad, I have a master's in engineering, and I have a master's in business administration. Those are the degrees. And then I, like you, have a, what do you call it? A certification in coaching.
Certifications. Yeah, I got a few. Over the years, I think I've had a few certifications, but yes.
It is, yeah. And aren't you going for another certification?
I was. I put it on pause. Do I need another certification?
Uh,
No.
no.
Right? Like your worth is not attached to that title or but we even do it. We even it and I think this conversation really goes even beyond the job title and our work. I think it even digs into your productivity. And we do this even as coaches where we try and attach our self-worth with, did I put out enough content this week? How much content did I create? Was it of the highest value? Like we do all these things to ourselves really, and we try and attach that our worthiness and or that our value is attached to productivity and how much we're outputting.
Right.
And that is so not, how many widgets can I make?
Well, as an engineer, I could have told you what your productivity was. But as a coach, you're right. The amount of posts that we put on Facebook, the amount of stuff we are constantly shooting out there is is not necessarily, I don't think that is part of our, I don't think our productivity, as far as our ding, 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 this is what we're throwing out there. Please read me, please comment, please be part of my world, my life, and all of my love. I don't think that that necessarily um, determines our worth, because you can be the quietest coach on the planet and have 35 clients a month. You know what I mean? Or you can be spamming people with, I do this and I do that, and have nobody. You know what I mean? And I would prefer to have, more quality content that attracts my main customer, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and even, I think it gets down to, we think that our productivity is attached to how many hours we sit down in a chair and we spit something out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a level of productivity that goes into when you're not doing that. When you're not just, what am I outputting today? Because you really have to think about productivity in the sense of, and your value in the sense of, not necessarily how many widgets you're making or how much content you're creating today, or there's so many other ways in your life that you're giving value to others, to society, whatever, that has nothing to do with you sitting your butt in a desk chair in front of a laptop for however many hours a day. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can definitely go to the productivity extreme. It goes back to time. Okay. Why do we get into our own businesses? In my case, it was to recapture the time that I thought I had lost because I was always running after something. And when I stopped and took responsibility of my time and said, no, y'all, I'm going to work these hours, and I'm going to take off Friday afternoon, and I'm not going to work the weekends. And if I'm going to do this podcast at 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, and I'm going to have a meeting before this on Tuesday at 7 p.m., guess who's going to quit working about 3 o'clock? Didn't do it today, but guess who's going to quit working about 3 o'clock and just take some time off so that I can do whatever I want to. I can cook dinner, I can take a nap, I can read a book, I can do whatever I need to do. The productivity part of me, this morning, for example, I gave a presentation to a networking group that got rave reviews.
Nice.
If you think I've spent more than a couple hours on it, I have some news for you. I did not.
Good.
Because I tend to wait until the last minute for everything. And B, I already kind of knew what I was going to say.
Right.
I'm not going to stress over this stuff. Now, I'm stressing about the next group I'm going to talk to, because the group I talked to today are consummate professionals. The group I'm going to talk to later in the week, the maturity level is different. They're at different places in their business. Do they even know what a time construct is? I have no idea. But you know what? I'm not changing that presentation. I may make it a little bit longer because I have longer than 5 minutes, or I may slow up my speech on it. But you know what? I'm going to do what I did in college. Write one paper and keep turning it.
Adapt to your audience, right?
Your audience. And I think that's what we need to do. We have, as coaches, we have the opportunity to specialize, right?
Yeah.
You specialize in health. I specialize in life. And I sprinkle some health in there. You sprinkle life in there. But at the end of the day, we don't have to be experts in each other's field, because I can pick up the phone or Facebook Messenger and I can hit a question and I can say, hey, Jen, what do you think about this? And you can say, this is what I think and why. And I can take that into my client.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the beauty of having so much opportunity to work together. So our productivity is still high, but we are working together. I think I just
Right.
kind of ran off the trail there and shiny side down, but you kind of got my drift, I think.
No, but it brings up a good point, right? Because you're speaking to something about working with more collaboration and recognizing the value add in spending a shorter amount of time through collaboration versus an independent um, output of productivity. And I think what happens is, and I think America has done probably does this. One of the one of the worst countries that does this is we have put such a value on the number of hours worked, and
Yes.
people have started to, even in talking with other professionals, where it's almost like a bragging right. Oh, I put in 60 hours a week, as though that's expect. If you're a manager, you're putting in 60 hours or more, as though that has now become the norm, and we're attaching the worth of your management according to that. And frankly, I think it's be such BS. And I have to admire there's two parts of this. One, I'd rather admire the manager that's able to get it done in less time, because they're not overworked, and I'm not going to them and they're frankly not having the best day because they're working 60 hours a week. But so I'd admire them more if they could get it done in less time, and likely they can.
Mhm.
Um, and additionally, I think we all know, because we all do it, just like you're talking about, well, you procrastinated and you were able to write a speech when you really just sat down and did it. You were able to do it in an hour. You could have stretched that out to 8 any other day, but you were suddenly pressed for time and you just squeezed 8 hours of work into one or two.
Right.
Um,
Welcome to
I mean, literally. Welcome. Well, I mean, so many people do that, and instead of attaching your worth to, well, this, I'm not producing enough value because I didn't spend 20 hours on this item. You're able to say this is valuable content because I'm an expert in my field. I don't need to spend 100 hours a week on that output as to value my worth.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I get where you're coming from, because you're still in corporate America. Bless your
Mm,
heart. I gave that gig up long ago. I am blessed beyond belief to be able to do that. And I thank my lucky stars every single day. However, I was that engineer. I was competing with my male counterparts. I worked 60 hours this week. I worked 70 hours this week. And
yeah.
it didn't occur to me until I started coaching just how utterly stupid that is. Now, I mean, it occurred to me how stupid it was, but just how utterly ridiculous that sounds. Do you understand? And I know you do. Do you understand? Y'all who are watching this, do you understand that you are giving up time with your family, time with your significant other, time with yourself? Do you understand that you're not just sinking into a nice bubble bath with a glass of wine and just reading a book or listening to a podcast or whatever? Do you understand that when you do that, you are chasing time and it's a sense of urgency? Whereas if you just kind of sit back, you you do your research, you do your thing, and at the end of the day, you boom, you slap that stuff out. I mean, okay, let's be honest here. Not every We aren't all A+ students, and all the work we do doesn't have to be A+. Now, what we should be doing is what consider doing the best for your customer. That is what we all should be doing, making sure that your customer gets the best of whatever you can produce. I'm not saying, half-ass that, because you get paid by your customer. What I am suggesting is that you don't need to spend 20 hours on a 30-minute project.
Mm-mm.
Not at all. Especially if you're an expert, you're a project manager, you're an engineer, you are a professional manager, you are a vice president at a bank. You have the skills. Just go on and do it and quit acting like this time that I spent so much time doing is like a badge of honor, because really the longer I work with professionals who are trying to figure out who they are and what they want to be when they grow up, their main constraint is, well, I don't have enough time to do this. Well, guess what? You actually do. And I'm going to show
Yeah.
you how.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, yeah, we've kind of put like that badge of honor. And I think too, we forget, um, even though, there's been a million studies, I can't remember how many studies I've read that talk about, well, the optimal productivity level is really like a 30-hour work week instead of a 40-hour work week. Yet we are all sitting at a minimum of a 40-hour work week. A lot of folks are way over that. And there's a loss of sense for value in getting outside of your getting outside of where you are, instead of sitting in front of that laptop. So here's a story for you. So it was my birthday weekend this last weekend. And sorry if y'all see my dog in the background.
Hi,
He,
puppy.
he's a mess. So it was my birthday weekend, and I there were some work tasks that I wanted to get done this weekend, and I didn't. But the crazy thing, what did end up happening, didn't necessarily plan on it, was several things. I made several connections. I ended up having a couple of experiences that I was able then to relate back to my client with some really powerful insight, and experiences that I was able to share with my client, and then say, okay, I know that this is a topic that we've been discussing. Here's something that I just recently experienced. And so now here's some questions, in hearing this experience that I want to throw back. And it really gave her a lot more thought to dive into, you're right. I keep saying I want this, but maybe I don't. I really, once I kind of shared some of the experiences that I had when I was just out having fun. I'm out enjoying my birthday, but I'm having all these real life experiences, networking with other people. And it kind of goes back to, the collaboration effort that you're speaking to. Ended up networking by pure coincidence, met up with some other coaches over the weekend as well, and ended up with far more value to walk away with, to provide to my clients, than if I would have sat right here in front of this laptop and stressed for several hours of, do I have the perfect wording in my offer letter? Listen, I can have the most amazing copyright in my offer letter all I want. It really doesn't matter. If you come to me and we're having a conversation and you don't feel that I've had the experiences or the insight to provide you the real value, it doesn't freaking matter the damn copy I've got in my offer letter. Right?
Right? Right. And I bet you by meeting those other coaches, which I'm totally jealous about, because I am. I bet you by meeting those other coaches, you have opened up a whole new networking structure. You have found that you can collaborate locally with these individuals.
Oh yeah.
I want to call them ladies. Are they women or
Men and women?
Right?
I had quite the weekend. I may have been out pretty much all week. And actually I didn't. That's not true. I was pretty impressed with all the things that I get done, because I did go out and I had fun. I also went to a parade that my son was marching in with the marching band.
was
and I
gonna say,
hang out there. Yeah. Like I actually, I I went to an accountability call. You and I have like an accountability call that we join on Sundays. I still made that. Um, like all these things. And so, but the thing that it impressed me, I think, is as I really look back on how I spent my time when I was sitting here going, oh man, I know I wanted to have fun on my birthday weekend, but I didn't mean to blow the whole weekend without being productive. But I was. I mean, when I was able to chat with my client and share an experience that, a health experience that I had with someone else who I had just met and was able to share this story with her, she was like, okay, this gives me another perspective. Let's talk this out because, those experiences and being able to coach her through some scenarios was far more valuable than anything else I would have done sitting here in front of the laptop.
and why is that? Why was that far more valuable?
Real life, human connection, collaboration. I wasn't trying to put a worth or a dollar or a value on my time because your time isn't always able to be about productivity or, I mean, don't get me wrong, time is money, but is time is money? Does that mean you have to be spitting out widgets? Or is time money also life experiences that gives you those deeper connections to provide more value in another way?
Yeah. So I heard an interesting quote today. And I think it was attributed to the John Maxwell program. But you know what? We're not proud. We steal everything. And
Right.
and it was, I've never found 20 minutes laying on the sidewalk, but I found a $20 bill,
Oh,
right? And when you think about it, and you really when it just hits you, like it just hit you, you could make all the money in the world, but you cannot make time. And that time
no.
that you spent with when you cheated on us with those other coaches, that time that you spent with those coaches and you collaborated and you networked and you found other coaches to work with. I'm just saying.
That's hilarious.
Right. Um, you were able to bring that to your client and help solve a problem with that person that you probably could never have gotten from our accountability calls, from any of the other stuff, because you spent your time wisely. And that is totally the point that we're trying to make. You can have the biggest, fanciest, happiest job title in the world. You can tie your self-worth to it. But at the end of the day, your productivity level and what you're doing to make sure that you are a happy, productive human being. And I don't mean productive as in spitting out widgets, but I mean productive in this mortal coil, to quote Shakespeare. You got to do something more than just count the widgets.
Yeah. I mean, you are more than your job. You are more than your job title. I asked on my page today, can you tell me who you are without telling me what you do? And that's tough for a lot of people because you attach what I do and my job title with who I am because we're there 60 hours a week or whatever the case. Um, let's talk about how I came up with the topic for today's conversation. You know how I came up with it? I went on a walk on my lunch hour. I went and walked 2 miles on my lunch hour. It was not sitting on Facebook. Um, so yeah, excuse me, my allergies. I went on a walk today and my allergies are killing me.
You are not
But it was
alone there, my friend. You are not alone. I just went at 6 a.m. Same problem.
Rough. Rough. But yeah, so it's not, when you think about who are you without saying your job title or what you do or what your job is, we attach everything, and maybe not even the job. I also think that we attach, and I did this myself for a long time. I saw it as I am a mom. That's my number one job, and that's awesome. I mean, I loved being a mom, love still being a mom. Now the beauty is I get to be a mom of an adult and be like, well, go make that mistake. Let me know how it works out.
I know, isn't that the best? Tell me how it goes. Go figure it out on your own.
but but for so long it was this thought of this is all that I am. I'm just here to do this job. So if somebody asks me, well, who are you? I'm a mom. Like I had no other, I'm so many more, I'm so much more.
You're an athlete. You are an athlete. You're
Right. The universe, I think somebody responded to my post, I am the universe. I am love and war and everything in between. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's pretty profound.
Yeah. So
I don't
that's,
know for that. I didn't
yeah,
see the
tell me who you are without telling me what you do.
I'm a writer. I'm
are.
a newly discovered writer because I was a writer a long time ago, and that all those numbers and things just sat on all that creative writing. So I'm a writer. I'm an athlete, a new athlete, I'm an old athlete. I am you know what? I'm a beauty consultant.
Mm.
I am hell on wheels most of the time. I am wide open.
Yeah.
I'm
But
wide
your love, your beauty, you're all these things all in between.
Mhm.
Um, not just a title or what you do. It's so much more than that. And I think about, when we're saying how does your job title, your self-worth, and your productivity affect your quality of life? Life is short. How are you experiencing it?
Oh,
Is your
exactly.
product is your productivity really the numbers that you're putting out?
I would say no. And we had so here in my neighborhood, one of the seniors in high school, she flipped her car in a ravine. She degloved her foot, broke her wrist, broke clavicle, and a couple bones in her back. And I mean, she was in bad shape. She lost part of her leg, and they went in and took more of her leg today. But fortunately, they've been able to keep the amputation below the knee. So she's being fitted with prosthetic, and she wants to run again. She was a soccer player, and she's damn determined to run again. Cool. And you think about all of the you think about her young 17-year life and how it could have ended if she was not able to get out of the river or the ravine, or
Mm.
I think it was a river that she was in, and climb up the embankment to the road, which took her 45 minutes to do, with a broken wrist, a degloved foot, broken bones. And you realize how short life really is. She's 17 years old and her life could have ended that night. And
Yeah.
all the things that she could have missed out on. and we're worried about the perfection of a presentation or a paper or how much crap we can put out on Facebook.
Right.
There's so much more to life than that. And, people in my circle get a little frustrated with me because they can't reach me I take one day a week off from social media. I get overloaded and I can't deal with it. So I just turn it off. And usually throughout the week, I will turn it off for several hours and just leave.
Have to.
Because I have to. There's so much negativity. It's people's highlight reels. And I find myself comparing myself to what's going on. And people actually get aggravated at me because I don't see their posts. I'm like, I don't care. And then I miss one like yours, which is actually kind of interesting and thought provoking and whatever. But you just kind of got to wonder, excuse me, you kind of got to wonder why. And even after this past year of the pandemic and all the crap and the lockdowns and all this stuff, as we're ramping back up life in this world, why are we coming back to that hurried, frenzied, the urgency, the just,
yes, the hustle.
yeah, I'm too busy. No, you are not busy. Quit lying about it. Stop saying those words, because in reality, you are the master of your time.
Mm-hmm. We all just had to take pause a year ago, like significant pause. And for so many people, they were like, wow, so much I wasn't seeing before. Why are we so eager to get back? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm eager to get back to, I don't know, socializing.
Like you're
Seeing
already
people.
there.
Yeah, I kind of am. I kind of was like,
Me too.
but I'm outside. The weather is nice. There's a beer garden calling my name. It just has to be.
Right. There's a wine garden calling my name.
There's something.
A mile down the road that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I just looked out, I was looking for a cough drop while you were talking about the girl in high school with the wreck and realizing how short life is. And I have this picture my son brought home from his stepmom's house. And she was cleaning out a bunch of stuff of his dad's a couple weeks ago, and I don't even know if anybody can see this. So this was me.
Oh,
and
wow, you look so different.
My baby boy, that gold hair and brown eyes.
Oh, he's so sweet.
This time frame was, I was working 2 jobs so that my son's father could go to school full time and only work part time, because we had to hustle because we had to provide for a kid. We had this kid. We knew we didn't want him to have the life that we had, but we were killing ourselves. There was no time for self-care. There was zero self-care.
Neither one of them looked happy in that picture either.
We're freaking miserable. This was like the happiest moment. He busted his ass for this degree, one of the degrees that he had. I mean, we worked hard. We had one car. We had a Ford Aspire that we shared with 2 jobs, a full-time student, a part-time job, and a toddler going to daycare. And that was the kind of hustle we were doing. And one of us, it caught up to.
Yeah, it did. Last year,
right? 2 years ago, and paid the ultimate price at 42 years. Because we were so focused on, we have to provide and be as productive as possible so that we're providing a better life than we ever had. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There is absolute truth to the ability to make impact with more money. That is a truth. We don't necessarily like that fact, but it is truth. However, that doesn't mean that you have to kill yourself doing it.
Right.
Your worth is not tied to how many degrees you're going to have or how many jobs you're going to work to get yourself there.
Exactly.
And that quality of life in that picture was shit.
Yeah.
Absolute shit.
And I'll be honest, if it wasn't for a big company paying for the master's degrees that I have, I wouldn't have them, because I wasn't about to make the sacrifices that you made.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always wanted an MBA, but I figured I was not going to pay for it. Somebody else was going to. And I knew damn well that there were companies out there that were going to pay for it. All I had to do was get that point of entry fee, which was a bachelor's degree, and boom, the rest of it would be paid for by someone else. And I was right. And I still cannot convince my stepson that I'm right on that.
Oh,
So
please. What does he need help? Do you need help convincing him?
no, he's a PhD candidate now. He paid for his master's degree, which, in this day and age is like 12 more credits. So it's essentially another 2 semesters or whatever, or another semester.
A couple years.
But you get no diversity of education because you're at the same school. And he's back at the same school yet again to be his PhD candidate, which somehow the school is paying for because he's working for them. So the tuition is kind of minimal, but he's paying for all that. And I'm like, you really don't understand how this works, do you?
Well, that goes back to the feelings of not enoughness, because we're attaching our self-worth to productivity. The more degrees I have, the more certifications, whatever it is that I think I need to make my enoughness enough, although it's never enough, right?
Right, absolutely. And you know that as well as I do, because we work with people who feel that they are not enough, and we have to help them understand that they are enough, and they are. And they just have to realize that and love themselves for what they have and who they are. And I'm not saying that improving yourself is a bad thing. God knows, I do it every time I walk into my trainer's gym. You do it every time you walk into your trainer's gym. You do it every time you go for a walk. I do it every time I go for a walk. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is, at this point in time, I am enough. You are enough. We don't have to put on airs. And, we can go and we're going to hang out at a pool, and we can be all bougie about it, or we can all be, relaxed, all redneck about it. And I'm going to be all relaxed, all redneck about it. I'm going to throw my hair up in a ponytail and jump in that pool all cannonball style and splash y'all. And if you don't like it, well.
Oh my God. Well, I think even.
And I don't have to be a size 2.
No.
I'm enough.
Lord, I even thought about that point. I don't give a shit.
But that's one of my hang-ups. That's one of my hang-ups.
Yeah.
Of saying that.
I do it too. At the other end of it, right? So you think, I was going to say something about the education. Hold on. Let me say this really quick.
All right.
To your stepson, because there's some value to wanting to continuously grow and educate yourself. Absolutely. You and I continue to figure out ways of educating ourselves, but there's also ways to do it without that degree. And I remember when I was going for my master's and I had this advisor who was like, you need this, you got to enroll in these classes. And so you're going to have a couple that are going to overlap. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to take that many credit hours this semester. And she's like, well, if you want to be able to get through this in 18 months to 2 years, then, and I said, well, I don't. I don't need to get it done in 18 months. I said, your school allows me 5 years. I said, I want to learn. I don't want to be taking classes on top of each other that I'm not really able to focus on because I'm still working a full-time job. I'm still a single mom and I'm going to school full time. And I'm not getting out of it what I'm here to do. I'm here to educate myself and provide value to others. And so I do think, it's kind of the downfall
of her chair. I mean, I don't think anybody's ever said that to her.
Everybody just wants to get the piece of paper and be done. I was like, that's not what I'm here for. That's so not what I'm here for. And so I do think that there's something to be said about that education, but to be eager to attach your worth to that piece of paper and to that degree is where we really get caught up. But here's the thing. And this now goes, and we're going a little into happiness, but happiness is, this is still on topic with quality of life. Just like you're talking about weight, you think when you get to the goal weight, then you're going to be happy. You get to the goal weight. Well, now there's another body image issue. Now there's new body image issues because maybe you got to your goal weight, you don't have the six pack. Now you got loose skin. Now there's this. Now there's that. There's not that happiness comes from within and those experiences and the fact that I can jump and do a freaking cannonball off the edge of the pool. Right. And so it has nothing to do with the weight. And it goes the same way for the degree. You think, well, once I get this degree or once I get that degree, then I'll get this job and that job will make me happy because I'll be at this point, I'll be at this salary range. And you're still fucking miserable.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's so true. My God, is it true? And you just, until you're able to step back and really look from an outsider's point of view, and it's really hard when you're in the thick of it, but when you're able to step back and look at it, and then you really start to question, is this really what I want? Is this all that there is? Wait a minute. I'm not here for a long time, but I should be here for a good time.
Yeah.
There was a radio station in the town I grew up in that would say that you're not here for a long time, you're here for a good time. So what am I doing to myself and why am I doing it? And those are all legitimate questions that we as a society should be asking. And I would have thought that, 15 days to slow the curve or whatever the hell it was last March when the whole world shut down, I thought everybody kind of stepped back and took pause. But what I'm learning is that our culture is so ingrained in achievement, which there's nothing wrong with that. I will put that out there.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that because there was a point in our history where if we didn't get up and plow and milk and do all that stuff, we would have starved and died. We're not there. We have gone to the opposite end and we have told ourselves that if we don't get up and work 60 hours a week, something won't get done and the world will blow up, which is, we're not going to starve and die and the world will not blow up. So calm down, Karen. Relax. We got this. You do not need to work 100 million hours a week. Take a breather. Take a walk. Unwad your panties. Go hire a coach. I mean, seriously, I don't know where all this came from. I watch movies that were made in the 80s because, there was still a sense of humor back then. And Gordon Gekko, greed, for lack of a better term, is good. And I think the direct message that he was trying to get across was, greed is motivating, greed makes you do things. And now people have swung that pendulum so far that they don't see it as a motivator to do good. They see it as a motivator. I got to have my storehouse filled to 95% at all times, or I will not be successful. And that's not what that means at all. It's a motivator to get your butt out of bed and go to work and make sure that you have all the things that you want, and you can take the trips that you want, and you can provide for your family or whatever. Not my storehouse has to be filled to the utmost maximum at all times. Otherwise, I won't have anything. And that's just not true.
No.
So,
and we've become so accustomed, even when we talk about, so during our moments of pause, and the supply chain got broke, and suddenly we couldn't get certain Amazon packages next day or 2 days. And you would think the world damn come to an end. You're not getting your Amazon Prime.
Oh, I know. Some of my Prime packages, it takes a week and a half to get to. I'm like, wait a minute here. Why am I paying for Prime? Why? What is going on?
But there was a time where that was the standard.
I know. And I'm like, there's an Amazon warehouse right up the road. There's another one that way. Why am I not getting my pack? Well, because, engineer, they don't carry one of everything. Just calm down. And if you need it that bad, there's a Target right up the road. Just calm yourself.
Yeah. We just have become so accustomed to that life of immediate gratification. How productive can I be? How quick can I do it? That we've really lost that sense of what is the quality of life that you're living. So
yeah.
So
don't know that
I think,
but
do what?
I don't know that we've solved anything.
Have we solved anything?
No,
I think we do. I do think we're seeing a little bit of a turn of evolution, because I will say this, for those employees who experienced going from, having to report into an office every day to being at home and suddenly experiencing the comforts of working from home. I get to wear my fuzzy socks. Really can.
Yeah.
I get to burn this scented candle that is very comforting to me, and I'm in a high stressful job, and I like to burn this candle in the mornings when I know I've got back-to-back meetings, blah, blah. I can't do that in my office. Whatever that balance is of that work life and those experiences of comfort and pleasure and all those things, I'm hearing that from a lot of folks that they are not willing to go back into an office of having someone hovering over them and not being able to have some of those life comforts and experiences that they got to have at home.
And so I asked this question because I've run into that here too. I work from home. That is my gig. So, I walk around in my fuzzy slippers and underwear whenever I damn well please. Blinds drawn or not. Get scared or don't. I don't really care. Peep or not. At my age, peep, I don't care. So my question is to all of those business owners out there, would you be willing to pay a stipend to each employee in lieu of paying for a building? Well, it's got to be cheaper. I mean, it's got to be cheaper. And honestly, or instead of a stipend, give it to them, give it to employees and in some type of benefit, 401k, whatever. I'm not talking about, take the building costs divided by number of employees and you're still paying out the same amount. What I'm saying is, you have cut that expense, you have passed that along to employees, but don't cheap out and be stupid about it. If your company is located in New York City, you're paying New York City wages, because your employees are still paying New York City taxes, even if they live in Missouri or Florida. That's the rub. And I think what we're going to end up seeing, because we are now a virtual society, which, by the way, I'm really sick of this virtual thing. It's good and it's bad. And that's a topic for another podcast. But my question to all these businesses who now have employees who are burning their cotton candy candles and, have their hand cream on the desk and, all that. My question to them is, are you going to cut? Are you going to let go of the big buildings become condos or whatever, and allow your employees to live all over? Because obviously it worked for the last year. And, is that going to be the standard business? Or are you going to try to drag people back in and make them miserable again? Because really what we've come into is like, the people who are and aren't getting their work done, you can tell, but they may not be working 50 hours a week anymore, or sitting their ass behind a desk 50 hours a week anymore, because the work that they're doing, they can get done in 30 hours. And they're spending that additional 10 hours with the people that they love. And they're not, all these people who are concerned about the environment, okay, well, because somebody's not driving 30 miles back and forth to work every day, they're not spending that gas and, all that environmental pollution and all that garbage. We have some real unintended consequences with this pandemic that are seemingly positive and are making people happier.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I feel like the opportunities just completely changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like if I, for example, wanted to move back to South Carolina, and I do, and my husband's company is like, yeah, we're not coming back to a full, an office thing. We're going to do all virtual forever and ever. Amen. I'm going to be like the first one hammering a sign out in the front yard going for sale, by owner, by anybody. I don't care. Sell this bitch. I'm out. And I'm packing and I'm heading south because it's cold here. What's wrong with these people? It's cold here.
Wow. Should come here in Kansas.
No, it's cold there too.
It is cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. And I'm super curious I'd like to see some of those productivity studies now.
I would too.
I really would.
Fat chance finding an IE getting off their butt and going into somebody's house and watching it. Can't see it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept. So, and that might be a really good topic for another day of where do we draw the line, and how do we shift as a society? Yeah, it's going to be, and because I think we identified totally different topics. I know we're getting off a little bit, but our idea of who an essential worker is shifted. We recognize the importance of things like grocery store workers, truck drivers. Just everything shifted. Yeah. So, there's some really interesting pivots that we're needing to do as a society. So, yeah, really interesting to see how that plays out. All right. Well, I know we're heading here to the end of the show, but any parting words for job title, self-worth, and productivity, how it's affecting your quality of life.
Take possession of your time. Take responsibility for it. And good Lord, do not die behind that desk. Get out and enjoy it.
Yes. I like that. Take back possession of your time. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Oh, okay. I'm going to shut up there. But yes. Okay. Good topic for another time because that's something else the pandemic has brought to light. I'm taking all my PTO.
Good girl. My hero.
All of it.
Do it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in Tuesday to Take Your Life Back with Grit and Grace with Jen Ingram and Leanne Bonnell. And we will see you all next week, same time, same channel.
Have a good week. Mwah!